Welcome back to Where Canaries Walk. Just how good is Pelle Mattsson, and how much is he responsible for this improvement at Norwich City? Alex says this is starting to feel like Norwich City Football Club again. Do you agree? Yeah, just how brilliant is he? Graham says he's so much better and complete than the if shit snake. Do you agree? Hope you're doing well. Of course, we're looking back on that Southampton result and our midweek game, of course, as well, with Killian and Tom this week. Plus, we're talking about who's the best of a penalty taker we've ever seen at Norwich. We're reviewing our FA Cup draw. How good or bad did we feel with what we got? And we're up to letter J, of course, in our A to Z. Lots to get through. Plus, we hear West Ham wants Sargent, which will get the Killian and Tom's view on all of that shortly. As well, if you've just come across the channel, welcome. My name's Mark. I'm a neutral. I make 24 podcasts for each of the Championship clubs across the division. This is our Norwich City 20-minute weekly chat with two expert Norwich City fans who travel up and down the country supporting the Canaries. Killian, you've had a better week this week compared to most so far this season.
Yeah, it's been pretty good. Things seem to be turning around. Dare I say it? We can see above the relegation line for once, and within touching distance.
Let's jump in straight into it then, shall we? Tom, let's talk about Southampton. Pelle Mattsson, just give us some words to describe his contribution. He didn't look a very good player under Manning. What's happened?
I don't know. I mean, he genuinely looks. I don't know if he's been given more of a free role. I don't know if he's been given more confidence. I don't know if the sort of Clement fitness regime is starting to show through. But he's everywhere, as per the club's picture with the word everywhere on it. But genuinely, he is absolutely fantastic at the moment. And appreciate it's only a couple of games, but he looks to be a real gem for us. And yeah, what a week. We sat here last Sunday and I jovially said that we'll take 4 points from this week. And that we'd be sat here smiling on Sunday night. And if I was a betting man, then I could have put 10p on it, but didn't. So but Pelle Mattsson, I mean, he seems to be driving that midfield forward. And I think it's making others around him raise their game as well.
He's remarkably calm. I watched him being interviewed in the Gun Club after the match by Darren Huckerby, and he's just a real character. Like he said his nickname in his last club was the Butcher. I'm not sure what that was alluding to, but he's definitely fired up for the season, no question.
I think you look at Jacob Wright with him as well. Jacob Wright looks. And I said it to Matty yesterday during the game that he gives me James Maddison vibes. It does Jacob Wright in the way that he carries himself and his build and his style does. I mean, I appreciate. We need to not get ahead of ourselves here. We are still very much in the bottom three, but it's just so much more positive and so refreshing to actually sit here with a smile on our face, which isn't a delirious smile of not knowing where we're going.
So got some more social media takes. So Toby says the progress he's made in the past month is crazy. There's got to be a chant in case around, so I'll replace it with Pelle Mattsson. I'm sure we can do a little bit better than that. The other one says, I'm not by any means justifying selling Nunes to Ipswich, but my God, this guy is 10 times the player. I mean, 10 times the player? Are we having any of that, Killian?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to know. He seemed to be second choice for that position when we bought Topic first, but he's definitely stepped into the level. But I think, Philippe Clement seems to be getting the best out of quite a number of our younger players. And I think it bodes well for the future, looking at how some of them have come on. You've mentioned Jacob. I think Rory McConville's also really showed himself up in the last couple of games. McCama was superb again yesterday. So it looks like some of those signings we were giving out about a few months ago might be coming good.
Yeah, I did see a tweet yesterday saying that can we finally give Napa some credit for some of his signings, and I must admit, I thought, yeah, there's a point there. I mean, it's amazing what can happen when when players that have got potential are put through structure and proper leadership. And it's funny that obviously Manning said, you can sack me and not an awful lot will change. Well, he's got egg on his face now, and obviously a couple of million quid in the bank, so he probably doesn't care. But yeah, I think finally it is starting to. I mean, it's December and it feels like the season has obviously only just started for us. And some of those players are coming good. I mean, can you compare Mattsson to Nunes? I don't know. It's an easy thing to do, isn't it? Because obviously he was bought in as a result of the Nunes sale. But I mean, one thing, not on a necessarily a direct comparison, but it shows a lot when there's someone that's got heart and hunger and wants to play for the badge, and when somebody wants to leave the club, then I think that's the only comparison I'll make.
Yeah, I mean, just to finish off on this point, James says, what the F was Lehman's instructions to him. At one point, I thought he was one of the worst I've ever seen, and now he's an absolutely, unbelievable player. And it's funny, isn't it, that some players, Killian, like that, just need good coaches around them to bring out their best. And you get the sense that there's good coaching going on.
Yeah, it seems to be. I mean, obviously, you're always skeptical. Can a coach really make that much difference? When we're changing coaches. But there's clearly something drastically changed at the club. And it is early days. It's obviously early days in the journey, but I think it's more than just a new manager bounce. There seems to be a real resilience and toughness about the team now. Even the way we played out the last few minutes of the game, I've heard a couple of Southampton fans commenting about it, how, and even the players saying how well we controlled the end of the game. That's not something Norwich would have ever done before.
We've got James live from the Eurostar, I think. James, can you hear us?
I can, yes. How are you all? You all right?
We are. We're just,
Can you hear
me? Talking about...
It's unbelievable. If I was on the Eurostar and there's a chap next to me live on a podcast, I must admit. Hi, mate.
James, who impressed you against Southampton whilst we can get the live feed stable enough for you to hear us? No, we're going to have to give that up, I think.
For me, I thought McCarm was absolutely brilliant. Jacob Wright and Mattsson.
We're going to have to give that up, James. I think it is a terrible line. Thanks for trying, though, mate. Appreciate it. That's an awful pause.
We tried.
We tried. Okay. All right, let's clear up the controversies from that game then, shall we? Because there's some Southampton fans in the comments. Going to be there in a minute. Right then, I've watched this back, I don't know, 4 or 5 times. I can't see it striking his hand, but you guys were there in the stadium. You might watch it a few more. Killian, for you, does it strike his hand?
I thought it came off his knee, but he was interviewed and asked about his hand, and he didn't admit it, but he didn't deny it either. He sort of laughed it off. So I don't know.
You need a bit of luck. I think it hits his hand, right? But it's not. For me, it's not an intentional movement of the hand towards the ball, which would, in many books make it handball. I think, like Killian said, it's come off his knee, and it's funny, isn't it? Because we were talking about Sargent a couple of weeks back and saying, it will take a goal off any part of his anatomy, and we've had it off Makama that. Yeah, it hits his hand, and yes, but how many times have stuff, there's things like that gone against Norwich, and actually, I think on balance, when you look at the third goal that we scored that was disallowed, I didn't actually think there was too much wrong with that. So I don't know if that was the officials sort of balancing things up because they think it was handball and they let it go, but actually, yes, there's some Southampton fans that are not particularly happy about it, and the official account's gone, to town on the TikTok and on the X account around handball and all the rest of it. But I don't know. You need a bit of luck sometimes, and I do think had we have not had that one have been disallowed, I do genuinely think we would have gone and got another goal, which again we've not said about Norwich for 6 months, 7 months, 8 months. It feels like it's been 2025 has been a long year as a Norwich fan, hasn't it, Killian?
Certainly,
enough. Fair enough. Here's a tweet I'm really pleased to read out. Kez says, we've got to give Cordoba some praise. He came on and ran the clock down perfectly. Great performance all round. That is the first tweet I've found all year, Killian, with praise for him. Yeah, is it justified this week?
Yeah, I mean, obviously he hasn't played in a while, and he doesn't normally play left back. I mean, he wasn't just put in as a third centre back; he did play left back when Krasani came off. And I thought Krasani did well for a guy who also hasn't been in there for a while. So it was nice to see somebody new playing at left back. You could see he was a little bit ring rusty, but he definitely played down the game very well with throw-ins. Bit of messing going on there near the corner flag, and he was right in the thick of it. So. Yeah, I think it was good. I mean, it's great to see so many of our players coming back. You know, it's going to make team selection, quite difficult when they're all back. So
he was so calm, wasn't he, when he came on? I mean, there was a few times where, for me, he just sort of looked like he was sort of jogging with the ball, and just I think it might have been Armstrong for Southampton. He was just holding him off, and he was just sort of like coasting with the ball. And I'm thinking, if that ball gets nicked away, you're in trouble. But yeah, I don't know. You know, it's crazy that players come back from injury with so much confidence. You know, given obviously the team that he played in before, and he last played left back against Wrexham, and obviously that game was an absolute disaster in the second half, and he had a pretty dismal performance. So yeah, I don't know if that's you know, down to Clement and his team that they're driving that into him every day. But yeah, it's great. Like Killian says, it's great to see players coming back from injury and actually coming back and making an impact.
I mean, Clement has commented on the fact that he has all those players at all the meetings, including all the injured players, so that he's not trying to teach them something new when they come back. So I think it's pretty evident with Cordoba, for example.
Okay. Big question for you both here from Jeff. Thank you, Jeff. Is it too early, Tom, to say we are a good side again?
I think there's some good signs. I think if you watch the first 10 minutes of the game yesterday, maybe first 10, 15 minutes, we could have been 2 or 3 down. So, you know, Southampton had enough chances. Obviously, they hit the bar, they missed the pen. They had other chances. So, you know, I do think 1 or 2 performances doesn't make us automatically a good side. Again, but I do think we're moving the ball with so much more intent and purpose. You know, we look fitter. We've actually got a structure and a game plan. And actually, I think, you know, it does look like we are cohesive, shall we say, all over the pitch. So I think the beginnings are there of a good side, and you know, maybe ask us in 4 weeks' time whether we're a good side at this point. But I think, yeah, at the moment we seem to be a gritty side now that seems to be able to you know, to fight and dig in when they need to be. So yeah, it's a long way of saying that we're not yet a great side.
Preston away then, Killian. We go to this weekend. They're third in the table. Has that shocked you, surprised you?
I mean, I think they've done phenomenally well. I think Lewis Dobbins has, I suppose, shocked me a little bit, given how the chances we got to keep. But fair play to them for getting there. I think one of the interesting things, listening to Clement this week, he likes asking journalists back questions when he's been questioned, and he did ask who the top 3 sides were in the last 5 games. And it was Southampton, Sheffield United, and QPR, which are probably more or less the last 3 games we've played. So I don't think he's any fear going to Preston. So it'll be a really interesting one. Like, I would have feared those 3 games coming into it. I do feel better about the next 4 we have after Christmas. And, you know, to me, that's, you know, I'd have no fear now against Preston. I think, yes, they are third, deservedly so. They've done very well. But I do think we've got a good chance there. I don't think they'll relish the idea of Norwich coming to see them next weekend.
It's funny, isn't it? Because we sat there and went, "Oh, we could genuinely lose the next 3 games of Sheffield United, Southampton, and Preston, and we might still get beat against Preston, but 1 loss out of 3 is a, you know, very different picture to 3 out of 3." And I don't know, maybe with my newfound optimism, we'll go unbeaten before Christmas. But steady on.
Well, I'm coming to you for a score prediction here, Tom, because last week you beat me to it, but you were asked on here directly what's going to happen, and you said we get 4 points, we'll probably beat Southampton and draw in Sheffield. So, come on. Score prediction, please. Preston, Norwich will end what?
2-2.
Okay. Right. I need some money
Take a
for
point.
Christmas, so I'm going to... Right, smashing. Since we last saw you, of course, the FA Cup draw has been made as well. What did you make of that, Killian? Were you happy or disappointed?
I would have preferred an away day, I think, given that getting to Norwich is an awkward one for me. But I think I'm glad to see. I mean, obviously, you can never be guaranteed a result, but I mean, if we're ever going to be given a chance, it would be a team like Walsall. So hopefully, we'll get maybe some of the fringe players in and get them some match time, and hopefully do get a good result.
Yep. Tom,
Yeah,
happy with Walsall?
It would have been great to go back there. I think, a lot of people will remember when we went there in League One and we got off the M6 at 2:05 and the pitch was frozen, so say, and they had oil barrels and all sorts of stuff on fire to try and thaw the pitch out. And Lambert basically said he's not putting his players out on that pitch. So it would have been quite nice to go there as an away day again. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. You can never bank on these things, but Walsall at home in the FA Cup either gives, like say, Killian, the opportunity for fringe players to get a kick, or we do put our strongest 11 out and we progress in the cup. But be interesting to see whether Sargent gets named in the squad if he's available to play at that stage.
Yeah, leads us on very nicely to the next question. And we're reading West Ham are interested in him, Killian. What price tag would you slap on him?
I mean, I've seen numbers around 17.5 million. I don't know. I think we need a bit more than that for him. But I honestly couldn't see him going there in January, personally. I mean, he's obviously eyeing up the World Cup. If Norwich start coming good now, he's probably more likely to be in the window for that in a team that's really struggling in the Premier League. That would be my thought. But who knows? In football, money talks. So.
Yeah.
I think it's a really easy thing to write, though, isn't it? Like, it's really easy to say that, that he could go to any one of 8 clubs. Do you know what I mean? You could put a tweet out in the morning that Everton are interested in him, and people go, yeah, that makes sense. And all of a sudden, it gets, it gathers pace. So, I personally think that you mentioned a number. I think if West Ham are going to be shopping in the window where it's supply and demand, then I think we should, if we are going to sell him, we need to hold the cards and make sure it's the best possible deal for us. But I personally think that the Clement journey and obviously what Napper said in his interviews a couple of weeks ago, that I don't think we'd sell him in January. But I don't know, like Killian says, stranger things happen in football and money does talk. But I'd like to think that we're now on an upward curve. And I think he's got a more than enough opportunity to get where he needs to be with us, rather than bit part appearances for a Premier League team.
Lots of penalties have been missed in the Championship this season, so it's already got us thinking about who's the best ever penalty taker that you've seen for Norwich. So it's 1-1 in a game. We want any player, past or present, that you can pick to be absolutely certain that ball's going in the back of the net. Who would that be? Let us know in the comments, of course. Tom, who would this be for you?
Probably Wes Hoolahan. I think he was pretty reliable from the spot. I can't think of many others. I mean, Grant Holt was obviously fair, always fairly decent from the spot. But I can't think of, and Killian, you might. I mean, Pookie was obviously also excellent, and from 12 yards. But I can't think of anybody in the last 2 years of the last sort of 2 squads we've had that you'd put your house on.
Yeah, I mean, there isn't a lot. I mean, and my memory of Pookie, I think, was missing a penalty at Sheffield. So that was when I saw that question coming up, Mark. That was my first thought, because he would be somebody you'd put money on. I mean, I know people probably laugh at this, but statistically, Adam Ida was one of the best penalty takers we've had. I don't think he ever missed a penalty for Norwich.
Before we leave you this week and do our A to Z, just a massive thank you to everybody who comments on the video, especially Cog1968 and Jason Butcher, who regularly comment on our stuff. Thank you so much. We do read every single comment as well, so do get commenting away for this next part. We're up to the letter J in our A to Z. We're nearly halfway through this now. Single player or event, which should represent Norwich City for the letter J. Tom, have you got a good one?
Bradley Johnson and the absolute net buster at home to Ipswich. It just so happened, obviously, the ball sort of, a lot of people remember, broke back to him on the edge of the box. And where I sit in the upper Barclay, I was directly behind it. And it just rose like an absolute rocket into the top corner. And the noise that it made when it hit the net, I can hear it now. I can see it now. And he boots the microphone away in celebration. So, yeah, Bradley Johnson would be the J for me this week.
Gillian?
I'd go with Simeon Jackson. I think he made a big contribution to the club.
Super. Who they forgotten though? They usually do forget a couple, and people call
Jonathan Johansson, lone player in 2008 or whatever it was.
Let us know in the comments. Brilliant. Thank you very much, you two. We will catch you next week after your visit to Deepdale. We'll see how that goes, of course, this weekend. Norwich are on the up, finally. Thanks for joining us.